Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So this is our second video on RV electrical systems. So we started off with a little bit of understanding of how to isolate the different areas of the trailer for the 120 volt systems. So what I want to do now is I took the cover off of the main panel and I want to show that to you. If you've never been underneath the panel, you don't know what it looks like, so I thought I would share that with you. So let's go on over and take a look at the panel. Okay, as you can see with the cover off, we have the DC side, which is all of this up here, and then the AC side, which is all of this down here. Now you'll notice that I have the 50 amp breaker off currently because I want to tighten everything up. So even if I turn off the 50 amp service to the trailer, because of our pass-through inverter, I would have to turn the inverter off as well, and that would kill the 12 volts in here. So I'm going to just do this, be very, very careful and very methodic, and get all of these tightened up. So we'll get down here, and these are just regular breakers, is all they are. Just regular breakers. And so we're just going to go through, and we're going to tighten them up using this particular screwdriver right here. And here I'm going to hand this off to Stephanie real quick. So this particular screwdriver is an 11-in-1, and it's made by Klein Tools. You can get these at Harbor Freight. This is a tool that I actually prefer to buy a name brand because it's a lot more rugged. And for this particular job, you want to use this square head because that is what's going to tighten down all of these the breaker screws. So we'll start with the down here. We'll make sure that all of our neutral wires and ground wires are nice and tight. It's important that you understand that that's where the main power goes to. It goes to the inverter and then comes to the panel. So we can get 120 volts, and then we're going to take this. And if these don't fit, not to worry. There's a screwdriver up on the island. So Stephanie would hand that to me. We're going to use a Phillips head screwdriver, and we're going to tighten these down. In here a little bit, I can see what I'm doing. Okay. Yeah, and these are a little bit loose, so it's just really important that you get in here and tighten these up. Turn the main breaker off so these are all cold. You can double check it by using your wand. Call this my wand. So that you can see that this is all cold except for the main breaker, the main. Okay? Yep.
You're really tightening down those. Really tight.
Yeah, you want to make sure they're tight. And then we're going to do the main breaker as well, and this is where you just want to be careful and don't try to do this. We're actually going to use this because these are actually a little bit more open and we can get in at them a little bit better. And we're using the square head. Nice and tight. Good, so now we know that all of this is nice and tight and we've got good connection. We need to do the same thing with the DC side. Now, if you'll notice here, I'm going to take this over here, that there's only wires across certain ones of these, not all the way across. So you'll see that most of these don't even have a wire attached to them. And you'll also see that we're missing a converter. So the converter not being there means that the inverter has the converter in there, and I didn't want to leave this in here. I actually removed it, but I'm saving it in case I want to put it back, which I doubt. So now we're going to go through and make sure that all the 12-volt ones are tight. Okay, so everything's now secure. Now what you should do is go underneath, and wherever you have the main power coming in and where it's connected there, you should tighten that up as well. We just did that because we just finished installing the inverter and the all of everything that goes along with it, including our hardwired surge protector. So it's not necessary for us to do that. So now we're going to put the cover back on and turn the power back on. Let me go back here and grab the cover. Uh-oh, somebody's phone. You want to pause that?
I just paused the
Pause,
call.
pause the call. Okay. See if I can hustle this up here. There we go. I knew it had to pop in. And you'll notice that I'm not using any type of a screw, a power driver, or impact driver, or anything like that. This should be done with a screwdriver. So you're not messing things up here, stripping things out. Okay. Alright, so now that that's done, turn the power back on. If I turn the AC on, if you'll notice when I turn this power off, there's still power to the thermostats. The thermostats actually operate off of 12 volts off of one of these fuses right here. Alright. So now we're going to talk about, as we started out yesterday, we started talking a little bit about how to find circuits that you need to locate if you're having problems. So typically, when an electrician wires a house, he takes the wire from the main circuit panel here, and then he runs it to the nearest outlet or switch, depending on what's the closest, and then he daisy chains it one to another. So if this were wired properly, like a house, we would have the main first wire coming here for this area here, this particular slide, and the first thing that it would go to would probably be this receptacle here, and then there's another receptacle back here, and then this receptacle here. Typically, that's what would happen. Now, do RV manufacturers do it that way? I sincerely hope so. Not every manufacturer follows those electrical patterns, because not every RV manufacturer uses honest-to-goodness electricians to do the wiring of these rigs. So you have to assume that it may or may not be wired up that way. So the best way to find out is, for this particular situation, would be to pull out the easy chairs and then take the covers off, turn the breaker off, and see how it's wired. If there's only one wire going to that outlet, that tells you that it is the end of the run. If there's multiple wires, there's 2 wires, or in this case for an RV, it's looped, because it will come through and it will actually loop up and around and then go to the next plug. And that's how they wire these RVs. Now, in one of the follow-on videos when we're talking about electrical, we're actually going to replace this outlet and this outlet with 2 outlets that have USB ports in them. Because this is a sleeper sofa, we want whoever's sleeping out here to be able to plug their phones in at night and not have to worry about putting that little transformer and plugging those in there. So we're going to change those out, and we're going to share with you how we do that. We're also going to do that in the bedroom as well, so that we can be able to charge our phones at night up next to the bed. So I hope that is a little bit of an explanation to you, and we're going to pause the video here and set up for our next topic. Okay, so we're outside and we're in front of our pedestal. And this is the side of our house where our plug is to plug our 5th wheel in. And your pedestal should look just like the inside. This is the receptacle for a 50 amp. A receptacle for a 30 amp will have the 2 kind of 45 degree at the top with the ground, I'm sorry, at the bottom, and then the ground at the top. This side is hot, this side is hot, this is neutral, and this is ground. So what you want to do is you want to check, and I will always start with going across the 2. So if you look at the meter, so we can get a good solid connection here. There we go. So we've got 243 volts, 242, 200, so that's good to go across. Now we want to check the hots to the neutral. It's got 120 volts, 121, and then on this side 121. That's good. And then we're going to check it to ground. So you got to put one of these in here, and we're going to check this to ground just to make sure. 121, and then we'll shift this over. And this makes sure that your ground is connected too, guys. Don't assume that your ground is connected. You want to make sure. So you've got 120. So you've got the ground is correct, the neutral is correct, and the 2 hots are correct. Now you should feel comfortable to plugging in your cord. Okay? And that's the first thing that you should be doing when you pull in. Don't connect up until you know that that's correct. Because even though you might have a surge protector, and the surge protector will tell you it's not, you should be carrying one of these and double checking it before you actually connect. Okay? Okay, right. So further troubleshooting techniques. So one of the things that we learned in putting together this pad of paper is that one of the zones encompasses the outlets on this side of the 5th wheel, as well as the tree right over here in the kitchen. And this outlet that's kind of hiding behind some of our stuff back here that we're getting ready to put away. So how does that get wired up? Well, it gets because we don't really know how they did things, we're going to have to make an assumption that between this side and this side, there's probably one wire that comes up underneath. But this is why it's so important for you to figure out what outlets are controlled by which breaker. So now with that information, if one of these outlets was not working, we'd be able to figure out how to deal with each one. So the easiest way to do this is literally to take one of the covers off. So we're going to pop one of the covers, and you just use a flat bladed screwdriver to pop off the cover. And we're going to use this cover first, because there's actually no screws. And let me move this chair. So these covers, once you can get underneath it, just literally pop off. And now you've got the outlet right here. So we're going to flip this around to the Phillips. I'm going to undo the screw a little bit, because these are like a remodeled box type of situation. So we'll pull this out, and if you'll notice, there's one wire. Not two, but just one. Now we're not going to take this out. So this is the end of the run. So that tells me that the run starts from the main panel, goes over to this outlet over here, to that outlet over there, underneath the floor, to the outlet behind the couch, and we're gonna verify that. We're gonna verify that right now by opening this up. And again, this is really a great way to figure out, if you take a few minutes each day, especially if you're vacationing, but if you're not, if you're a weekender like we are, I like to do this a little bit at a time. Okay, we gotta get underneath there. There we go. Flip this around. And you don't need to go too far with these screws, because you don't want to lose the tab that tightens this up to the wall. This is actually loose, so it's a good thing we checked this. So now we're going to pull this out, and here we have two wires.
We're going to edit that out, or you're going to have trouble.
Okay, so you can see this one has two wires, and then the one over here has one. So again, we verified that this is the end of the run. This is the end of the wiring run right here. This would be the middle of the run. This would be from the kitchen. And we're just following this all the way back. You have the outlet here, and then all the way back to the panel. And that's how you figure out, that's really how you figure this out. You've got to do a little bit of homework. You have to open up the wall, or open up the outlets a little bit, to be able to know and understand what you have. Now I'm going to go back and I am going to button everything up, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure the power's off, which it wasn't before, but before I start putting this all back together again, it's always a good idea to make sure you turn the power off. Since I know which breaker that is, it helps me to know, now I know this is all turned off. But we'll verify that with our little sensor. See if I remember what I did with it. So we're going to take this and we're going to turn it on. We're going to check it. Yeah, it's dead. So we'll take this and we'll push this back in here. And we will screw this down. It'll start to tighten up. Yep, right there. Tighten this one up. And this is just like a remodel box. So if you've ever seen a remodel box, these tabs are just like a remodel box. Now, when we go to take this out, we're going to have to get some remodeled. Basically, not the full box, but we're going to get a remodel for a low voltage remodel. So that can go in here, and then we'll be able to, and we'll show you how that's going to work. And it works really slick. I think you'll really like it. Again, we're not going to do that right now. It's just going through some basic troubleshooting techniques. And we pop this back on here.
It's so much better to do this when you're not on vacation, to get familiar with your...
You want to take some time to do this when you're not on vacation. And now we really have a good idea of how this is wired. So if we were to have a problem with one of these outlets, the first thing what I would do is I would go to the middle outlet here and I would pull it out and I would check the wiring in that middle outlet. If it was good and I had power there, then I would check wherever the outlet was that's missing. You want to do what we call in the electrical world bracketing when you're troubleshooting these issues. Now I'm going to say this one more time. This is only for educational purposes. I am not recommending that anybody do anything electrically. This is up to you. You have to take the risks of your own on your own. I'm only trying to help you understand that if you do have to have an electrician come out and take a look at it, you can follow along behind him and you will know, okay, is he taking me for a ride or is he actually troubleshooting this properly? So let's go ahead and button this one up. And then we're probably going to call this a day. I don't think that the next step will be, in just a sec, let me get this all buttoned up and then we'll talk about what our next steps are going to be. Now, honestly, these 11-in-1 screwdrivers are really the best thing for you to carry with you, because then you only have to carry one screwdriver, not 3 or 4. Okay, so we're all back together. Let's turn it back on and make sure that everything is working properly. We're just going to check. Our light is on here. Good there. Good there. See, I check our light over here. We're good there. And then we'll check here. We're good there. Okay, so that is basic troubleshooting 101 when it comes to an electrical circuit in your RV. Now, you can follow this also in your home. And your home is going to be wired a lot better than an RV will. In this case, I think they took the long way around because, believe it or not, the wiring for the fireplace kind of goes right along with it. And they should have actually added the extra receptacle, but it depends on the way that they wanted to wire it. So, with that being said, our next steps are to talk about the DC side of it. And I'm going to give you a little precursor to show you something that I did that will help in troubleshooting some of the areas that we have up in the front underneath, because sometimes I really wonder how and why RV manufacturers do things the way they do them. Anyway, so let's go ahead and take a break right now, and then I'm gonna show you the front bay so you can see what we did up there. Okay, so we're in the front of the trailer, and we're gonna go in the front bay where the brake controller is and the hydraulic system is. So I want to show you what we did. And with the RV lock system, we changed out all of these as well, because too many of these have the same key as other fifth wheels and other travel trailers, and so we changed these out so that we could be safe and secure. And RV Lock is a great company to be able to do that. We're not affiliated in any way with RV Lock, so this is not a endorsement of them, just to let people know that they do have a good product. So here's what we got. So you'll notice here, most of the time that the RV manufacturers, they put this massive 30 or 50 amp fuse, and here's a picture of one, and they put 4 or 5 wires on that massive fuse. As an electrician, that drove me crazy. So here's what we did here. Each circuit, and we identify what circuit was what, has now its own fuse. We'll take this knob off, take the cover off so you can see exactly what we have. So each one of these has its own fuse and is connected to its item, and if we lose one of them, we only lose one, not multiples. And we have spare fuses, and we're able to trade those out. Now our hydraulic system is running off of that 80 amp fuse, and it's a resettable breaker. That is something that I highly recommend anybody to do. And then we changed out the wire going to the battery packs, which you'll notice aren't here anymore. They're up in the garage with this number 4 wire, so that we could get the 80 amps for our hydraulics. And then also we have a DC to DC charger in here that we won't need once we get our solar panels in, but it has been a great addition, and we'll probably leave it there. So this is really the right way to do it. If you really want to do it right, I'll leave a link below. We got this on Amazon, and it works fantastic. You gotta make sure you're having a proper ground, and then make sure that you've got the right cable coming to it so that you're able to get the right amount of amperage and voltage. Okay? Alright, so that's it for today. We're going to end this video right here. Our next video is going to be on the DC side, and we're going to talk a lot about how the DC system works. We're going to show you our inverter, our pass-through inverter, and how we have our lithium batteries set up. And then the final video will be to finish getting our solar panels put on and getting those hooked up. So please make sure you get a chance to subscribe to our channel, hit that like button, and hit the bell so you know we're coming out with another video. And also please share. This is Ron from RV Weekenders. Hope you're having a great day. See you on the road.